wastewater from the cities and the villages receive. So this is at the beginning of the treatment plant where all the sanding grids and the rags are removed. And we also talk about the total projects that was presented to you a month ago. It will cost roughly about $1 million. And Minnesota Public Facility Authority, the funding agency, has reserved $1.5 million of low interest rate loan for you. But I also mentioned that the city is currently having more than $1 million of reserve in the sewer fund, and still continue to set aside some money toward the sewer fund that could be used to partially fund this project. Again, we are at a time where the state agency is giving out this record low interest rate to communities that they're doing the public infrastructure work. The last that I heard, interest that you could possibly get is it's about less than 2%. So when the time gets closer, I'll come back and talk about the funding options. Is it better for the city to invest your reserve fund on some investment that have a high yield interest, or to put add some of the reserve fund toward the project and to reduce the amount of loan. And again, in that presentation, I also mentioned there's some additional work that are needed out there that we will evaluate with your staff and come back with some recommendations for your approval. And tonight I will talk about what needs to be improved at Hairworks, but we're not asking for council's approval yet, recognizing that after the council meeting that your public work director will provide a guided tour, and there will be a lot of questions asked, and so we encourage the councils to get familiar with these important infrastructures that needed a lot of help, and ask questions at that time. But basically, this building was damaged by the flood, and there's some hydraulic constraints that need to be resolved. The grid removal system, in talking to your public work director, that we have decided not to recommend it to the city at this time. Not because it doesn't need it, but because it is not critical at this time yet. It's going to cost a lot of money to add a new grid removal system. And I understand that the community is looking at conserving your fund.
Excuse me, I got a question.
Sure.
What is hydraulic constraint?
Hydraulic constraint, okay. That's a very good question. Hydraulic means water, okay. And if you, the wastewater comes in, water flow downhills, and when you get to the treatment plant, is about 10 feet below grade. You need a pump, hydraulic machines to pump it up to the head of the treatment plant, so it can continue to flow by gravity through all the entire treatment plant out to the receiving water. Very good question. Thank you. And
like
the reason
is that like a lift station?
You know, the scoop pumps there? And,
Yeah.
yeah. Lift station, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there anything that the grit removal system isn't making that as efficient as it could be? In other words, if you have a lot of grit in the sewage, isn't that going to be a detriment to the operation of the treatment plant?
It would, but in this case, the wastewater is going to have to be pumped first anyway before the grit removal. And nowadays, most of the pump has the impeller is made out of a better alloy. So eventually, the grid still need to be removed out of the system, but in terms of damaging the machine and impeller, to some extent it may damage the aerators. You know, if you have excessive amounts of the grease that run through the aeration system, and the aerator turning at a very high speed, it could potentially damage that. But a grid removal system is going to cost somewhere around like $200,000 by the time we're done. It's a very expensive facility, and your system is getting some removal, as meaning that, you know, the remaining grid that doesn't get removed ended up in the aeration tank. And you have a fairly large aeration tank, and it just means that you know, maybe every I don't know, 5 to 10 years need to be cleaned out. But ideally, you know, eventually I think you would need a better grid removal system.
What is this grit?
Sand and rock and eggshells, coffee grounds, things that come through the treatment system, to the collection system. As you build the system here with the contractor, you're going to have less grit coming in, because every 4-foot section of clay pipe that has a gap draws in sand. And when you get better pipes, you're not going to have the grit as often as you would.
You don't have the siphon effect once you eliminate the seam.
Right.
Okay.
Get rid of the groundwater.
We're going to be spending a lot of time out there, so I'm not going to take too much of your time to review this. This is the Headwork building. As you can, this picture was taken on October 29th of 2007, and you can still see the moistures on the wall. This is where the flood level was, and it wasn't completely dried out at the time. It does cause some damage to the building. And here's the screw pump, the influent pump stations that Jeff was explaining about. Give you some examples of the damage caused by the flood. This crack was taken, the picture was taken in 2007, and if you go out there, you're going to see this gap is getting a little wider as time goes on. Here's another example of the damage to the building wall, and you know, again, as time goes on, that we don't know if the new crack is going to develop elsewhere in the buildings, and our recommendation is if we want to repair the building, we may just as well replace it with a new one.
When you go down there for the tour, you're going to see there's much more than what you're seeing here.
So they're still